This is a Gradowski of wearechange.org here in Playa del Carmen, and it seems like Bitcoin is roaring back, which is pretty funny since the mainstream media said Bitcoin was dead ever since its all-time high in December of 2017. And now it's coming back to the potential where even a powerful Democrat, a congressman, Brad Sherman, is saying that we should ban Bitcoin because it's a threat against U.S. financial power. Yes, we're going to talk about that, plus a lot more. And to join me in that discussion is Scott Sorensen of CryptoGasmic.com. He does a crypto trading website, teaches people how to use crypto. He's an expat. He's all over the place. He's been very nice to let me stay at his place here in Playa del Carmen as I do some dental work. You were showing me how to trade. You were showing me the Fibonacci. You were showing me everything. So you have a lot of knowledge on cryptos. Again, CryptoGasmic.com the link will be in the description below, so you guys could find out more about yourself. But what do you make of this recent kind of roar, this recent kind of upsurge? Many people are attributing that to Starbucks and Whole Foods and kind of more adaptation, but you kind of see it a little bit differently, right?
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me, Luke. Yeah, I do see it a bit differently. I try to trade and look at crypto more from an emotional cycle point of view rather than a news, and a FUD kind of view. And if you look at Bitcoin on the emotional cycle, which you can easily, if you Google emotional trading cycles online, you'll see that it goes from disbelief to euphoria, which is what we had when it was at $20,000, all the way back down to panic, anger, depression. And I really think we're in the disbelief stage of trading. I don't think Starbucks and things like that have anything to do with anything. The everyday trader is not going to go out and buy a Bitcoin because they see that it's at Starbucks. I think people are still in that disbelief stage that this is a fake rally and it's really still going to be dead. I do believe now that we've seen the bottom at 3,300. I was kind of predicting 2,500. But as a trader, you kind of learn to have a plan for both ways. But I think the money is coming from, it's got to be coming from institutional money somewhere. A lot more of the banks, the investment companies and stuff like that are setting up. There's no doubt that cryptocurrency, digital currencies are going to be our future. And when you say it's a threat to the American financial system, yeah, it's exactly what it is. But I also feel that they are a part of it. So I don't really believe everything that I see and read in the media. I think everything is manipulated with what they say. And when they say things like that, I think, what's the reason for them saying that? A perfect example was about a year ago on is it MNSBC or whatever the channel is? I think they're all idiots. And basically whatever they say, do the opposite. When Ripple went from 20 cents to $2, they put out a thing that said, an instruction video on how to buy Ripple at the top. Then when it fell back to 30 cents, they sent out another report saying how to sell it. So do the opposite of what these people tell you, and always look a bit deeper and further into why they're saying what they're saying. Jamie Dimon, or whatever his name is, Jamie Dimon, as Jeff calls him, from Chase, JP Morgan, came out a year ago and said it's a crock, it's all this, and the first bank to release their own internal crypto was JP Morgan. So, things like that could be created to lower the prices. Institutions, governments are going to want to accumulate as many as this want. And what people got to remember is the difference between a Bitcoin and a dollar is Bitcoins are limited. There's 21 million only. You can't just go printing them like the fake paper that they print, and the value of that paper keeps going down. It's very easy. It's supply and demand. There's 21 million Bitcoins divided by whatever the demand for it is. That's the price of a Bitcoin. So as they start accumulating this, the prices are going to go up. And I think we're on the way back to 20K again. We're holding that $7,000 support level right now. And if you just go in and Google yearly candles and you look at the last 5 years, it's really trending. So anybody that says it's dead, it's buried, just go and look at the yearly open and close candles, and you'll see the trend. And we're on our way to 20,000 again. I think 8,000 is a really important line, because when it went from 8 to 6 last time, it kind of bounced around that 8K, and when it fell from there, it went down pretty fast. We may see 6,000 again. So I think that the best way to do it is for the long-term people is to just, start accumulating. If you got $1,000 or $10,000, don't just run out. And I got people messaging me today saying, I missed the 3,000 bottom. Is it good now? And it's funny because the higher it goes, the more people message me asking me, is this a good time to buy Bitcoin? And I told them to start accumulating it under 4,000 with the possibility that it'll go to 2, but everybody was too scared. So I think once we hit that 10K mark again, that's when you're going to see the everyday people in the bars and the pubs, people who are buying it now, talking to their friends, saying, look how much money I've made. And I think that's when we're going to start seeing the Coinbase buys start going. And I think once we hit that 10K, we're going to get to 20 pretty fast again.
I think you brought up a couple of really good important points that I want to add on. You have to be skeptical in this market. It's the Wild West. It's still figuring itself out. You have the mainstream media literally telling you to buy high and sell when it's at its lowest. And also a lot of institutional power, just like you mentioned, JP Morgan Chase, a couple years ago releasing a lot of attacks on crypto, while at the same time their larger institutions were investing in it. So we have to understand there is institutional power here, but it's something that I think is unavoidable. This kind of technology, this kind of advancement, I don't think there's avoiding it. And I think this is why we're seeing Starbucks, Whole Foods, even the stock market kind of accept this kind of new form of payment.
So I think the perfect meter, okay, Starbucks and people like this, they're not accepting it directly, they're accepting it through other platforms. But for me, the perfect meter is this simple. This, I don't know, 4 or 5, maybe more or less, you'll have to get the facts for that. But there's actually certain states in America that you can pay your taxes by Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin was dead and buried, there's no way that the USSA would accept Bitcoin for you to pay your taxes. So just do a little Google, do a little research. If this wasn't a currency, if this isn't the way that we're going, then they certainly wouldn't be accepting it to pay your taxes.
Yeah. In the United States, crypto holdings have increased twice from what they were last year. And during recent polls, it came out that around 74% of people now know what cryptocurrencies, now know what Bitcoin is. And again, the barrier to entry, a lot of people, there's so much disinformation. There's people not knowing what's going on. They think, oh, we need an entire Bitcoin. No, you don't. You could buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. You could invest $1 in cryptocurrencies. You could get started in so many different ways. There's so many different platforms out there, whether it's Steam It, whether it's Bittube, whether it's Brave. I mean, I just got into Brave myself just a few days ago, and I'm like, wow, this browser is actually a lot better than my old browser. I was able to import everything seamlessly. There's more privacy. There's less tracking. There's less corporations and governments spying on me because of this. Well, they probably still spy on certain individuals if they really want to get your information. They'll get your information. Nothing's really secret anymore out there online, but it gives you another aspect. And I remember it being like, hey guys, I'm testing this out. I sent out one email. I just checked on Brave because I referred people to this browser. I already got $160 to $400 just from doing that with Batcoin, which is a whole different currency than Bitcoin, which I could transfer BAT to Bitcoin and back and forth. There's a lot of information that people don't know, but what's the best way to kind of get started since you kind of do that with Cryptogasmic?
Yeah, so my first advice always is understand what blockchain is, right? So for those of you out there who are interested in Bitcoin, you want to learn this, obviously your first instinct is to get into Bitcoin because you think you're going to make some money, right? So my first advice would be learn what blockchain is, because blockchain is actually the technology that it's the internet version 2. So we don't have enough time here for me to sit and explain what the blockchain is, but it's basically a public ledger that shows every transaction. And there's multiple uses for for blockchain, from voting to transactions between electricity, gas, charity. There's many different uses where the blockchain is going to change our lives, and it's the internet version 2. So the first thing you got to do is understand what blockchain is, and that Bitcoin is just one application of blockchain. And once you've done that, just remember, you're going to see a lot of ideas on different cryptos. At the end of the day, we are in the early adoption stages. So even though there's 2,500 cryptos out there, a lot of them really aren't doing anything. Like the dot-com boom, we're going to see a rise and a fall of many different cryptos, and we're kind of going through that now, where things are getting washed out. There's a lot of scams like BitConnect and all that sort of stuff, so you've got to be careful. And I would say don't get caught up in, falling in love and getting married to your coin. Use it to create some freedom, freedom to live in a place like where we live now. This is our office where we are. And, use it. And the great thing about Bitcoin is that it's my money, and I can send it to you if I want to. It doesn't matter what your passport is. If I do a transfer on Chase, it costs me $40. It takes 3 days to get there. And then you soon realize once you start traveling abroad that it's not really your money when they start blocking it for your security and all that sort of stuff. So As far as trading and trying to create some financial freedom and some financial lifestyle, I would start very slow. And like Luke said, this is still the Wild West, and we don't even know if Bitcoin is going to be that transactional. There's a lot of talk of it could be a Fed coin that takes over, and that's the battle at the moment. Is the government are not going to let us just do transactions around the world and not be involved in it. So the anarchists that we are, I still think that it would be unrealistic to think that the banks and the government are not going to be involved in crypto. But we will definitely be using these. And if you've got to remember, back in the internet 20, 25 years ago when it started, you would plug your telephone line in and it would make those noises. If your brother or sister jumped on the phone, the internet would disconnect. Now it's a different world. So we're in those early stages of this digital currency right now. So as far as trading, where to start is slow. This is a high risk. You got low risk, mid risk, high risk investments. And I have some low risk money tied up in some funds that return 8-9%, and then some other stocks and stuff like that. But anybody looking for a high risk investment would be silly to put everything that you have in it. Don't put enough in it where you can't sleep at night, because the swings are volatile. But you can't expect to have 100% profits if you can't accept a 50 or 60% downswing sometimes, and it is volatile. So learning the game, doing the complete opposite. Markets don't follow the herd. If everything's pumping, the markets don't give free money. At some point, the smart traders, the 90% of people, are going to take that money out, right? And then you're going to panic and you're going to sell because you've lost some money and stuff like that. So learn from places like Cryptogasmic, from myself, from our community, or anywhere else. We set this up to try to assist people so they're not losing their money, they understand the emotional cycle. And my other advice would be to, kind of keep 80% of your trading capital in the top coins. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Dash. And you've got to own some Bitcoin, because there's only real two major pairs when you trade, against US dollar or against Bitcoin. And one of the only platforms that allow you to trade in US dollar is Bitfinex, that don't allow American customers due to your rules and regulations and stuff like that. So you've got to have some Bitcoin to trade. So make sure that 80 to 90% of your portfolio is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dashcoin, Litecoin, those top 10, and then you can have a little bit of a punt on some of the smaller alts which do big runs. But learn how to do some technical analysis, because it is all emotion. My dog's going crazy in there for some reason. Learn some technical analysis, because it is all emotional, and it's all about finding support, resistance, when to get in, when to get out. Trade it in for some money, but definitely don't put all of your money into it. It's a high risk, but I don't know of any other high risk vehicle that returns money if you know what you're doing. 90% of people lose, 10% of people win. So you've got to become the 10%, and those 10% don't follow the herd. They don't follow the media. Everybody, one example, back in December, I had a situation where I called it the load up the truck when the top coins were hitting rock bottom, and I said, look, I don't care how low it goes, I'm accumulating Ethereum here, EOS here, Litecoin here. All of those have doubled or tripled in a couple of months. So I remember when Ethereum went sub $100 after a peak of $1,200 in 2017, everybody said this was dead, it was gone. That was my key to going, and I lapped it up at $80, and I think it's trading at about $250 today. And I'm going to cash some of that in. I'm going to, into US dollars, stack some Ethereum away. But do not chase. When it's running, don't chase. When it's running and you got profits, take some profits.
Exactly. Be smart and be understanding that this is still the Wild West. There's still a lot of institutional power. Scott, thank you so much. Everything you said, I pretty much agree with. Be very safe out there. I've always been saying, I've been in crypto and talking about crypto since the very onset of it. Even before the mainstream media got a hold of it, we were talking about crypto. And I was always saying, hey, be skeptical. You could lose everything in a matter of seconds. Even with just a firmware update, you could lose everything. It's possible. And stories like that do happen. That's why I always said, I don't take, respectively 15% of profits that I'm making and maybe diversify a little bit. There's nothing wrong with diversifying. The market here is absolutely insane on the world stage. But to find out more, definitely check out the link below with Scott's website. He also has a service that you guys could use. So if you're interested in getting into this larger crypto space, definitely check it out. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching and supporting independent media. Scott, thanks for letting me crash here.
Office for the day. It's pretty special.
Yeah, it's a beautiful office. I've been working here. You've been seeing me in this little corner, but you haven't been seeing the nice little beach right in front of us and a pool. And it's been really just a pleasure being here, getting some medical stuff done, getting some sun in and feeling a lot better than I did in New York City. So thank you again, Scott, and thank you all, you beautiful, amazing human beings, for being a part of this independent media operation. Stay tuned for more.